All right, welcome guys. Today I am going to be creating a hypertrophy workout program entirely from scratch. The only thing that I've done is created this nice little template to kind of give my work some guidance. But this is going to be titled Hypertrophy 1.0, and I think that it's going to be a total of 4 weeks where we gradually ramp up the volume. Because after all, a hypertrophy program does not need very specific periodization because hypertrophy is a training adaptation, not a specific sport like strength and strength related fields like powerlifting and strongman and stuff like that. So all we really have to do is control for the most important variables, namely volume. So throughout the course of me creating this program, I'm going to emphasize increasing the sets on each week. So I think the first week we're going to start with around 14 sets per muscle group per week with a 2 times a week training frequency. And each subsequent week after that will increase each body part's volume by around 2 or so sets until we reach about 20, which in that case is going to be very difficult to recover from, and then we'll take a deload. How's that sound? I think that that is going to work great, especially for a program called Hypertrophy 1.0. Now, before we get into it, I just want to make it clear the reasons why I am creating this. I'm creating this workout program for all of you as well as myself. I'm not the only person that is going to be running it, at least I hope. I am going to provide it free in the description, so you can actually download it right now if you're watching this. And starting next Monday, I think it will be around 4 or 5 days from now, I am going to be running the program in real time, recording every single set and rep that I do, and I hope that you guys follow along and do it as well. I'm doing this for 3 reasons. First of all, it's going to increase my consistency in the gym. Second of all, with an audience, I'll be likely to give it my full most intensity that I possibly can so that I get the most out of my sets and reps. And third, I just think that it would be a great video series. So, we'll create this one, and then hopefully in around 5 weeks, if you guys like it, I'll do another one, maybe a Hypertrophy 2.0. But let's get into it. So we're doing 6 days in total, and this is going to be a push-pull legs routine. So the first day is chest, shoulders, triceps. Second day is back and biceps. Third day is legs, so on and so forth. So for the first exercise, I'm thinking let's start with a heavy hitter for the chest. I personally like incline bench press variations of all sorts, because for most people it is the clavicular head of the pectoralis musculature that people are lagging on the most. And science has shown that if you do any sort of chest exercise, you are going to be stimulating the whole of the musculature. So you might as well try and emphasize the clavicular portion. So I want to do Smith machine incline press. So that's going to be my heavy hitter for the first push day. But I'll mention this now, and I'll probably mention it again. You guys can totally mess with it. It doesn't have to be on the Smith machine. You guys could do the barbell. When you download the copy, you can totally edit it and change it for yourself. I know that not everybody has access to the same equipment that everybody else does. So there's undoubtedly going to be some changes. So in fact, let me actually just change it to, let's just say incline bench press, so that you guys can kind of choose your own variations. And for this, I'm thinking around 3 by anywhere from 6 to 12 repetitions. It's a large range, but I think that that's important. And then here is where you guys will be recording your actual, it's going to be for your record. So it'll be your reps times your weight, and you'll record it on each set. We're not going to be doing 4 sets for every exercise. I'll be graying that out probably in post. We'll see. But to start, we got incline bench press. And then I'm thinking we definitely want, I like to have like a heavy hitter in the beginning. And then let's do a machine incline bench press to get more volume in there. So we could do, let's do 2. So I'm thinking 7 sets on each individual day. So we would start with a total of 14 sets of weekly volume per body part. So we want to hit around 7 sets for our chest in day 1. That's an example. Okay, so 3, 4, 5. So we're going to have 2 accessories. Let's do like 10 to 15 repetitions. And after this, I might go over it and just smooth things over and make sure, like do a double check, a triple check, whatever it takes to give you guys the best program possible. Okay, so we have those 2. And then after that, let's do an upright row. I like having a sort of upright row or compound lift to start each body part. So this would be hitting primarily the lateral deltoid. That's one of the 3 heads of the deltoid musculature. Your front deltoid is hit very, very vigorously by pressing, and we already have 5 sets of pressing in here. So I don't think I will be programming any front raises or anything specific to the front deltoid in this program at least. But the upright row is a great compound lift for the lateral deltoid. So this will be our heavy hitter for this exercise. So let's do 3 times. Again, a wide range, but we're going to do 6 to 12. And then after that, we'll do some lateral raises. Right now, I'm not gonna specify what type. You could do dumbbell, you could do cable, you could do machine. It's really gonna be up to you guys. Well, let's see. So we're gonna want 7 sets of lateral deltoid work. Right now we have 3. So let's do 4 sets. Let's change this to 4 sets for now. And then we'll change this we'll do 3. And then for this one, I want it to be, let's do 12 to 15. I want this one to be a higher rep range, especially because on lateral raises, you don't want to be inherently doing a heavy amount of weight, because that's a surefire way to injure yourself, and we don't want that. Okay, so after that, let's do some sort of chest fly. You could do, a pec deck machine. It could be a dumbbell. I think that a lot of people love to overcomplicate their training program just for novelty's sake, to get people on board and get people thinking that they like reinvented the wheel or something. In my opinion, it's all like mischief, I mean, there's no merit to it. And, people have been doing the tried and true exercises for forever, since the beginning of lifting getting more popular. So why would you deviate from that unless you just want to have some fun? Maybe in a future program, I'll be deviating from it. But in this, just stick to the good exercises, have solid form, solid technique, and really apply a lot of intensity and vigor to each of your sets, because after all, we want to take our sets really close to failure. And if you're overcomplicating things, it can become very difficult, especially if you throw in some weird exercises like Bosu ball, lateral raises, or whatever the heck. So do this chest fly. We're going to do, we got 3, 4, 5. We need 2 more sets on this day. So 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps. And then we can top it off. We can top it all off with some tricep work. I think that everybody probably wants bigger arms. Who doesn't? So I'm thinking let's do 2 exercises for the triceps. But let's see. So this is my philosophy. If you're doing a pressing exercise or a pulling exercise or what have you, when the arm muscle is the secondary mover, not the primary mover. For example, in an incline bench press, your primary mover is going to be inherently your chest. The secondary mover is going to be the triceps, because your tricep is working on elbow extension, which is one of the functions of doing the complete chest press movement. So, in other words, I like to count the bench press variations as half tricep sets. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. So I'm going to count 3.5 or so, 3.54 tricep. So we already have 3.5. So we need about 4 more. So we're going to do 2 exercises, 2 sets each. Let's do a overhead tricep extension and then a tricep push down. Okay. And then let's have the overhead tricep extension be slightly more in repetitions. Let's do 8 to 12. And then this one is going to be 10 to 15. Okay, there you go. So we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the chest. And then we'll do 7 again for a total of 14. And then for the lateral, for your deltoids, we got 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. And then we got 3.5 from the pressing, 5.5, 7.5, good enough. Okay, so this is going to be a very complete and comprehensive upper body pushing day. Okay, so honestly, we can just copy this whole thing, and again, after I'm done with this recording, I'm thinking that I will make it more specific. Or maybe later we'll make it more specific. We can change incline bench press to like Smith machine. Let's do it now. Screw it. Let's just do it now. Let's be thorough, shall we? Smith incline bench press. And then we're going to do, I really love the dumbbell incline bench press because you get such a good stretch versus a bar. You're going to be capped out for your range of motion where the top of your sternum or your chest is, versus on a dumbbell variation, you can go all the way down as far back as your flexibility allows, which we know from the scientific literature, having a stretch and while you're doing a weighted stretch, while you're doing, your eccentric and concentric movements is going to elicit much more hypertrophy. So dumbbell, DB for dumbbell, incline bench press. I'm going to keep the machine. I encourage you guys to, let's just do machine bench press. And then you guys can kind of choose which, there's like a million different machine bench presses. So I'm just going to let you guys kind of choose whether you want incline or flat. I don't think it matters that much. For this, for the machine variations, we're just trying to accrue more volume. It doesn't need to be super strainful. It doesn't need to be a barbell. It doesn't need to be a dumbbell. Just do the machine, get more volume. That's the beauty of machines. Okay, upright row. We're going to do, let's do the barbell. So BB, and I might change this later. And then here we'll do cable. There's not much science to me just mixing up the different resistance here between a barbell and a cable. Besides that, I just think that novelty can be good for, you know, increasing adaptation. Because I think that when you do the same movement every time, there's no really new and novel stimulus for your muscles to adapt to. And plus it's just more fun. It breaks up the monotony of just doing the same thing over and over without changing it. After all, this is a lifelong endeavor, and we gotta keep things fun. You don't want it to be like the same thing over and over till the end of time. You know, you gotta mix it up every now and again. So I like to mix it up weekly or inside of the week. Okay, so we did that. So now let's do we want dumbbell or cable? Let's do dumbbell lateral raises on this day, and then cable lateral raises. Just so that sometimes I choose things just because they'll be in the same area. So you don't have to walk across the gym and waste a lot of time setting up something that's like completely in another corner of the gym. So we got our dumbbell lateral raises, and then we're going to do cable lateral raises. I love the cable lateral raises. And see here, we can literally just do the cable upright rows and then go straight into the cable lateral raises at the same machine. Isn't that beautiful? Chest fly. Let's do cable chest fly over here. Stay in the same spot. Beautiful. And it can be unilateral or it can be bilateral. If you guys feel like you have some muscle imbalances, whether it be strength or just total size difference in one muscle to the next, say maybe your right pec is larger and stronger than your left, and you've noticed that for a while, then please do a unilateral cable fly movement. It doesn't have to be cable, but like unilateral movement, because that way you can really focus on one side over the other and try and close the gap between the imbalances that you're experiencing. It's very important if you are experiencing imbalance, and maybe you're like post-injury, post-op or something, operation. In that case, there is no doubt that you're going to have some atrophy, muscle loss in one muscle group over the other. Okay, so we did our chest fly. This one will be our machine chest fly. Now we're going to get into, we got overhead tricep extension. This could literally be cable again. And then this one, I really like dumbbell. I just did dumbbell overhead tricep extension the other day, and oh my God, I'm cooked. It feels fantastic. I forgot about that one. And this one's actually gonna be the seated variation. I'm not gonna write it down just in case maybe you guys are at a busy gym and the seated variation is not available. And then tricep push down. How do we want to do a tricep push down? This is gonna be cable. They're both going to be cable, actually. But the thing with the tricep push down is you can do it unilaterally as well. And also, we could even do a machine variation if we wanted to, but I just like the cable variation so much. You could even be mixing it up between having a rope cable or a bar attachment for the cable. And you know what? I'll talk about that when I actually record the full session on Monday. Okay, so let's get into the back and bicep ones. So let's start with a I want the first day to start with some sort of row. So let's do chest supported T-bar row. And you know, again, if you guys don't have access to this, you can totally do something different. I just personally love this exercise because it is chest supported. But if you guys don't have access to this, you could just put your chest on a incline bench and then strap up using dumbbells and just do it that way. That works totally fine. That's more of a free weight variation to this. So you could totally do that instead. And then after that, I want to do some lat pull downs. I love the lat pull down, such a fantastic exercise. And then for this, we're going to do, this is going to be our heavy hitter for the day. We're going to do 3 times 6 to 12. And let me actually change this. I kind of want this to be 8 to 12. Eight to 12. So then this, I want this to be 2 by 8 to 12 as well. 2 sets of 8 to 12. And then over here, I want to start with, let's do some pull-ups. I'm not a huge fan of pull-ups just because they're hard. But that probably means that I should be doing them after all. So we're going to do 3 sets of 6 to 12. I will be using the assisted pull-up machine, and I encourage all of you to do it too, because I know that pull-ups are inherently difficult since you're lifting your own body weight. Any calisthenic exercise like that is going to be very, very challenging no matter what, just because of the nature of it. It's how much you weigh versus your strength level. It's going to be hard. And especially since we want a higher volume, since this is a hypertrophy program, I encourage you guys to do the machine. After that, I think I want machine rows. And you guys can totally pick which machine row you want in specific. There's a million out there. You can do hammer strength, whatever you want. Okay, and then that's going to be 2 by 8 to 12. Also high, a little bit of higher volume, okay? Okay. Next up, let's get into, I've been loving doing the lat pullover because the lat, is it called the lat pull down? I mean lat pullover? The name isn't coming to me right now, but yeah, the lat, straight arm lat pull down. That's what I'm thinking of. I've been loving the straight arm lat pull down. So I want that in here as well. And the reason why I love it is because when you are doing that, you are making it into one joint instead of multiple. So it is an isolation exercise for your lats. And in my opinion, the lats should be the most developed part of the back if your goal is aesthetics, because the lats create that width. And without width, if you only have thickness, your back really isn't going to look that big unless you take off your shirt. And we don't all live by the beach. So I think that the straight arm lat pull down is a great variation for just attacking the lats in specific. So you're just trying to isolate it instead of doing a compound lift like a traditional lat pull down. So we're doing the straight arm lat pull down. And for this, we're also going to be doing 2, but we're going to be doing a lot more repetitions for this one because you cannot lift as much with the straight arm lat pull down. And for this one, I want one to be, this one's going to be cable and this one's going to be machine because my gym has a machine. But if you guys don't have a machine, straight arm lat pull down, then by all means you could do cable twice, or you could even do the dumbbell lat pull over, the one I mistook the name, of. So that one you can lie supine on a bench And then just, do the whole shebang. You're still using your lats a lot. That one's getting a little bit more chest action in there too. But by all means, it's okay. We don't have to be so black and white about things. You can include other muscle groups if you so desire. In fact, I used to just do upper lower all the time, just because it just feels right to be training your front portion and your back portion of the musculature. All right, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 for our back and our lats. So let's get into, we're going to be training the rear delts as well. So I want one compound exercise and then one fly exercise like I did before. So I'm thinking on this first day, let's do, what do you call it? Face pulls, cable face pulls. Great compound exercise for the rear delts. And then over here, we can do let's do like a cable row, but let's specify cable rear delt row. So this one is where you're on a cable machine on the flat bench. Your butt is on the flat bench on the cable machine, but you want the wide handle, because after all, when you are training the rear deltoids, you want your arm higher up like this. When it's lower, you're getting more lat. When it's higher, you're getting more rhomboids and whatnot. But the function of the rear delts is to bring the arm back like this. If you do this, you'll feel it flexing, okay? So when you're further out like this, just like a cable version, or just the face pull version, these are both training the same type of deal. Yeah, but for this one, we're definitely going to want to be doing around, let's do 4 by... I'm going to kind of mimic our other exercise, which is the other compound lift that we did on the push day, which was the upright row. This is kind of just like the posterior change version of the upright row, in my opinion, in this specific program. So we're going to do 4 sets, and let's see how much we were doing for the upright row. We were doing... I'm blind, I can't find it. 6 to 12. So we're going to do 4 sets of 6 to 12 repetitions. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. 4 sets of 6 to 12. And after this video, I'm going to look it over, and I might actually add another fly or distribute the amount of volume that we're doing. Because 4 sets is a lot, especially when we're not emphasizing 4 sets of our main compound lift of the day, which would be the chest supported T-bar. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself. Okay, so cable face pulls. Let's see what else we got. Now we're going to add in some rear delt fly action, rear delt flies. And in fact, why did it paste it like that? It's weird. I'm thinking, let's do cable, since we already did cable right here. We'll copy the cable again. Oh wait, no, that's a rear delt row, so we'll do cable up here. Cable rear delt flies. I love doing the unilateral version. You guys can totally do the cross arm one like this. I love doing it unilaterally. I just feel like I have so much more control, but it's totally up to what you guys want to do. And then with this one, we're doing high repetitions. I may end up doing a little bit less than 12, but we will see when we get out there on Tuesday. And then for this one, let's do machine. kind of like the pec deck. We'll do it on the pec deck, actually. You could do a unilateral variation on that one too, if you want. Totally up to you guys. That's the beauty of lifting, is you can really get creative with things. That's why I love it so much. Okay, then last but not least, we're gonna throw in some bicep exercises. So I'm thinking dumbbell incline, bicep curl. Actually, I don't want that there. I'm thinking barbell, bicep curl. Fantastic, tried and true exercise, if I do say so myself. Just fantastic movement. And then down here, we're going to do dumbbell incline, bicep curl. Both great exercises. Both just overloads the biceps like nuts. And actually for this, we're going to superset forearms. And the reason for this is because I feel like a lot of people don't train their forearms. And personally, with those little muscles, the ones that you often forget about, like your forearms, for example, I think that people totally overlook them and they never actually end up training them. So then their arms are way bigger than their forearms are, and it looks weird. So I like to just throw it in there as a superset with biceps, because biceps do not require like its own rest period time. And what I mean by that is biceps and forearms are just such a small muscle group that you don't need to be resting 3 to 5 minutes in between sets. You can totally go and do something else and then go back to it. It's not like squats where you just need to sit down and pant and fight for your life. So superset forearms. And I like to just take a couple dumbbells. You could even take plates. Just do some wrist work like this, okay? And then last but not least, let's do... On this one, I'm thinking bicep preacher curl. And then again, we're going to be supersetting forearms. Let's really get the forearm work in there, because we want a lot of forearm work. And this one's going to be a little bit higher volume as well. It's good to like undulate your... Sorry, let me grab some water. I think it's important to have a variety of different rep ranges. It can either be in the individual day that you're training, or it could be throughout the week. Like you could have more of a higher intensity, lower rep range day earlier in the week, and then kind of increase it as the week goes on and then reset. Or it could even be week to week. You know, you could have a whole entire week where it's just strength focused. What I mean by that is lower reps, higher weight. And then, you know, the next week it could be like moderate. And then the next week it could be more endurance based, where it's like this 10 to 15 or 15 to 20 or whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want. That's what's awesome, like I keep mentioning. But I like to do it within the workout, because I just like to have fun with it and mix things up. You know, it's fun to have a heavy exercise, then a moderate exercise, and then a lighter exercise, especially in the same workout, because in the beginning, you should be training heavier, because if you train heavier later on, then it's going to be a lot more challenging. In fact, you're not going to be able to get in the amount of intensity that you're going to want later on in the training workout, because you're going to be too fatigued. Your stimulus to fatigue ratio is just going to be too high. Okay, so we got the preacher curl, and I like this combination right here. The reason why I like this is because the incline bicep curl is giving you a huge stretch on the biceps, which is fantastic. But combining it with this one, where you're more focusing, all the tension is on the peak contraction, this is a great compliment because it is the exact opposite of what the incline bicep curl is trying to do. And even though we want the great stretch, we don't want to exclusively be using the stretch. We want some peak contraction stuff going on as well. Other than this one, just an amazing exercise. So let's I'm just going to say machine bicep curl because the barbell bicep curl is just going to tax us a ton. I mean, that's like one of the hardest bicep exercises that you could do probably, you know? And this one's going to be 2 by 10 to 15 as well. Let's do 12 to 15. No, let's do 10 to 15. Screw it. Might edit it later so you guys know. Okay, last but not least, let's get into legs. The dreaded legs. The legs are always a bit of a bitch, but let's start with squats because, guys, you got to be squatting. If you're not squatting, I highly recommend that you should be. And look, if squatting feels unnatural to you, then please just mix up the variation of squat. I'm sure that you will find one that you excel at. You just need to mess around a bit. So I've said it before and I will say it again. If what I write down here you don't like, download the PDF, change it yourself. Change it to something that you like. Maybe your gym doesn't have the machine that I'm putting down or the specific exercise. Maybe you don't have access to it. Change it. If you don't like it, change it. Do what you need to do. Accommodate yourself. Accommodate your individual needs. Okay? Because what works for one person isn't going to work for everybody. It just isn't. I've been training a long time now, and I've found that out the hard way. You know, I used to train in a very specific way, thinking that I would get very specific results. Well, my body said, no, not going to happen that way. So we're going to start with squats. And I am kind of crazy. I like to keep things similar. So we did the Smith machine variation. So we're going to do Smith machine back squats. I like back squats more than front squats. And then for this, we're doing 3 by 6 to 12. There's no way I'm going to go higher reps on a squat. Unless I'm training for something in specific or I just want to, throw everything out the window that one day. After that, we're going to get into some dumbbell Romanian deadlifts. Fantastic exercise. I love it so much. Probably my favorite lower body for the posterior chain. And the squats, they're the best for the anterior chain. So we got the Smith machine, and then over here, I'm going to kind of do the good old switcheroo, and we're going to do a barbell. I would love to do the Smith machine variation of the Romanian deadlifts, but the Smith machines at my gym, for whatever reason, don't go down far enough for my body type. So I can't do it because you need the full range of motion. Guys, full range of motion is so important. Make sure that you're going all the way down. Make sure that you're going all the way up. If you're not, then you're just leaving gains on the table. I know that's such a cliche line to use, but it is so true. You need to be doing the full range of motion if you care about your progress, at least hypertrophy-wise. So, barbell. Romanian deadlifts. Awesome exercise. And then we're going to do the good old switcheroo, and then we're going to do I think we do a leg press on this day. You could do a machine leg press. You could do the plate loaded leg press, whichever one you prefer. I might change it from day to... No, I'm not going to change it from day to day. I'm going to do the plate loaded leg press. I just think That's just the classic one. You got to do it. I'm just kidding. You don't have to do it. What else do we need? So these are both going to be 3 by 6 to 12. And then after that, we're going to want what else do I want on here? I kind of want like a walking lunge variation of some sort. So I think on this day, we'll do walking lunges. Some sort of like unilateral leg exercise I think is really important. Especially for me because I don't do that very often. Oh, hi, kitty. Sorry. So walking lunges are actually going to be training both the quads and the hamstrings and the glutes. So you're getting a lot out of it. Same with the Bulgarian split squat, which we're going to be doing on this day. And you could be doing it in the Smith machine, or you could be doing it dumbbell, whatever you prefer. So I'm going to be doing 3 by 6 to 12 of these as well. I'm not going to go any higher. For these, just count each rep as a set. Sorry, each step is going to be a rep. So you can do like 6 on your right leg, 6 on your left leg. That would be a total of 6 repetitions. And then that's how you'll be counting it in that regard, okay? Moving on. Now we're going to get into, we'll do seated. Let's see. We got dumbbell, Romanian deadlift. We'll do seated hamstring curls right here. And this one's going to be the prone hamstring curls, which is the lying hamstring curls. I think that the seated hamstring curls elicit more growth because you're getting a great stretch on the hamstrings. But just like I said with the bicep movement, I think that having a little bit of both is important. You don't just want to train one over the other, at least for the long term. So that's why I'm doing a little bit of both here. Okay. Moving on, we're going to do, you got to have your leg extensions. Here, let me specify it to quad extensions. Quad extensions. Can't beat quad extensions. The quads are never trained that way unless you do a quad extension machine. You could also do, I forgot the name of it. It's, reverse Nordic. You know, a Nordic curl where it's that like calisthenic body weight movement of the prone hamstring exercise. That thing is freaking brutal. The quad extension, you could do a reverse Nordic and that would get the same effect as the quad extension. But I think that the quad extension machine is just so great because the fatigue that you're getting out of it isn't so high. If you did a reverse Nordic, the fatigue is going to be insane. And then it's going to totally mess with your recovery for your heavy hitters like your squat and your Romanian deadlift and your lunges. It's just going to mess you up. So let's see how many sets are we at now for we're at 6. I'm going to count this as half actually because you're not really training one or the other to the maximum degree. So we're at around 4 or 5. So let's do, we're going to do 2 sets. 2 sets of the hamstring curl. And then seated calf raises. Great exercises. If you don't have access to a standing calf raise, you could totally do it unilaterally with a dumbbell in one hand and just grabbing something on the other hand to anchor yourself. I think that that's probably one of my favorite exercises. In fact, I think that I'm going to program it specifically in here. So dumbbell calf raise. So that would be a unilateral variation, and then this would be machine standing calf raise. Love this one too. And then seated, I'm going to call this the plate calf raise because it's the plate loaded one. And then my gym actually has a machine seated. They have a machine variation. I'm going to rearrange this. Machine seated. And, again, if you don't have access to the machine version, just do the plate version twice, okay? It's not a big deal if you don't. And then here we're going to be doing 4 sets. And I think that the standing variation of a calf raise is superior, just like the seated version of a hamstring curl, because you're hitting both the gastroc and the soleus in that, versus the standing. Versus the seated variation of the calf raise, you're only really hitting the soleus. It has to do with how the muscle inserts on the tendon. So, you're not getting as much bang for your buck with the seated variation, but it's a great way to get extra volume without too much fatigue and to add more novelty. So we're going to do 4 sets. That's why I'm choosing the standing for more sets rather than the seated. But we're going to do 4 sets of 8 to 12. Then for this one, we're going to do 3 sets, 12 to 15. All right, guys. The rest of this I'm going to be uploading. I'm going to be just copying and pasting and then changing the actual sets for each one, so that this first week we're doing, we specifically did 14 sets per body part per week, and then later on it's going to go to 16, 18, and 20, and then we'll take a deload. But thank you guys so much for watching me create this exercise program. Again, the link is in the description if you want to follow along while I run it. So like and subscribe if you guys like this one, and I'll see you on Monday for when I record the full session and we get in more into the nitty-gritty of the inner workings of the program. See ya.